Welcome to Beyond the Press Release, a production of Gorecom, in which we take the time to speak with small cap executives right after they put in important news. With us today for the first time ever, we've got Bernie Turo. He's a CEO of Ugly Christmas Shirts, Inc., one of the hottest new companies on the market today. That's Bernard.
No, but I can guarantee it's going to be part of the wildest reasoning behind this. So before anybody on the social media goes nuts, it's simple. It's Christmas season, and I like to wear a Christmas shirt in honor of my son who used to love Christmas. As simple as that. No other point of view, no other thought, because I know some of the people watching this may come up with a different theory. No, Christmas Santa slate is not yet going electric. It's still going reindeer power.
Bernard, people are going to say, doth protest too much, which means you're protesting so hard, the shirt got to mean something. So we're going to be analyzing that. Trust me, everyone's going to be analyzing what's on that shirt. I can guarantee
it's going to be analyzed.
Hey, so we got Bernard, obviously Chairman, CEO, HPQ, trades on the venture under HPQ. And the press release we're talking about today, HPQ Nano reaches major milestone with Generation 1 Nano Silicon Reactor operational. And the company says it's a new era of low-cost manufacturing of nano silicon materials is about to commence. You've had many milestones along the way, Bernard. Is this the biggest?
No, there's going to be bigger ones.
Well, up until now, I'm not saying not the biggest.
Yeah, but
is this the biggest milestone so far?
You know what? I've often said that, for me, milestones are things we knew we would do. So it's not really, big milestone. I know some people were, thinking it wasn't going to be there. There was some discussion about when is really December, those type of points. But, we always knew we would be able to do it in December. It's just that I waited until they actually turned on the machine, because I've gone through a few R&D process, and, the first time you turn on the machine, there might be, a bit of a sparks that goes off and those type of things. So I waited till at least the sparks were gone before we announced it. But it's an important milestone on the way. It's like you're running a full marathon. Okay, you reached a half marathon part. If you were running a half marathon, that'd be great. But you're running a full marathon, you still have a half a marathon to go.
No, and look, I think a lot of us like that you have that philosophy, but it's not a bad idea to celebrate this moment at the same time. Even Peter says in his press release, it's indeed a major milestone.
Yeah, it's a major milestone. People are calling us. That's how big the milestone is. It is a major milestone. It is a big one, but it's just one of the milestones we're going to reach. And that's what our job is, to identify a milestone, reach them, and says, okay, what's the next milestone? It's this, when you're CEO of a company like this, if I sit on my laurels for 30 seconds, and if I start thinking, okay, everything is done, there's going to be other challenges. I have to be cautious about what are the next challenges, the next target, and everything else. Not to say that I'm worried that we're going to execute them. Not at all. It's just, it's a box check. Okay, next.
So we're going to have to, so what's clear from this is HPQ is going to need to hire another CEO, Chief Excitement Officer, maybe CXO. All right, because we want to kind of try to look, okay.
I'm very excited, George.
This is what Peter said. The announcement today is indeed a major milestone. We're extremely excited to have the Nano, and I'm just excerpting. We're extremely excited to have the Nano Reactor go up and running on schedule and on budget. The next major step is to get qualified samples into end users' hands, which we're pushing to do before the end of the year or shortly after. But this is the money comment. The more we progress with the Nano Reactor, the more it seems to us to be a real game changer. It may very well become the gold standard for making nano silicon for the battery industry. I mean, look, so forget about the excitement part. I get it. What's the basis for him saying that? What are you guys seeing for Peter, who's selling his products all over the world as your partner on this endeavor, for him to say something like that? Because you can't take that lightly.
No, but fundamentally, the fact is that nobody has been working at designing a low-cost process to make nanoparticles. We're doing it, and we have a pathways to scaling it up. That's why it's going to become the gold standard. I think I've said it many, many times over. I think the worldwide capacity to do this right now is what, 3 to 5 tons. Okay, and we're going to a market that's going to demand about a million metric ton within the next 15 years. So it's big. Whoever is first having the low cost process is going to have the technical advantage. Who's ever going to be the first to be able to be the ring fence of battery manufacturer, car manufacturers, and other projects. To be totally honest, I'm very excited about the battery side. But talk about serendipity. January we're going to be starting to send material to Apollon for them to test for hydrogen. And what did the Canadian government announce? The hydrogen is a very, very big part of the business.
I saw that.
So
I actually sent it to you on LinkedIn, I think.
yeah, it's there. So you have battery material, okay, which we know what we're looking at producing between 200 nanometers to 5 microns. Okay, it's about the size that industry participants have indicated to us is what they're looking for. So we feel comfortable about where we are, where we're going, and where it is. Our timing, I think, is exquisite because a lot of people are talking about batteries and EVs and scaling up and trying to catch up with the leader, but it's going to take time for them to get there, to scale it up, to bring it up, and it's going to be at the same time as silicon and battery is going to become bigger. What I'm most excited about was that at the same time as we issued this press release yesterday, we were finally able to get an article on a major French media. And I can tell you from the feedback now, it's really coming around to the fact that, I think the Quebec government realized that they had completely forgotten silicon as an important battery manufacturer. So that's an added excitement for us. So it's all.
Did they forget, or are they finally discovering it for the first time and realizing silicon is important and the leaders are right in our backyard?
It's always a question of who's lobbying for you and what's lobbying is doing. Okay. The graphite industry, the lithium industries was very loud, clear, very big crowd in Quebec. If you look at the number of lithium companies, exploration, number of graphite companies also make a lot of noise. They made a lot of noise. I chose a different approach, which is to be low key, which is to be more focused on the results. It's really a question where you spend your money. HPQ, if you look at the overheads of HPQ, it's very, very small. We're more focused on having our R&D's offshoot with Pyro. And our marketing efforts were, relatively small. For the investment we did, we got a great bang for the buck, okay? But our presence in the sphere of people that talk about these things wasn't there. And for me, I was very deliberate. The goal is by the time we start producing material, we'll start talking more about our product. And the timing was impeccable. I didn't organize it like that, okay? Because you don't control when a journalist comes out with the article, and you don't control exactly which date, the machine gets turned on, but it just worked out perfectly. And I'm already getting the feedback that's very interesting. Would not be surprised that within a little bit of time, silicon will be added to these strategic minerals for batteries.
You say that right now the capacity, just because there are a lot of new people who are watching, right? Mm-hmm. The capacity out there for nano silicon right now is 3 to 5 tons, right? Mm-hmm. What's the competitive advantage that HPQ has got over that 3 to 5 ton capacity right now? How big of a competitive advantage is it? I see you laughing. That's great.
Well, I know the process they have. Okay, I know how they make their nanoparticles. Okay, it's the reason why they can only make 3 to 5 tons is a cost, impossible to scale up. It's as simple as that. And that's literally where the issue is. Right now, the silicone you need in batteries is basically highly engineered silicone, and making it's very expensive because most of it comes from offshoot of the solar industry. And the solar industry or the electronic industry, okay, is basically a downstream market for the metallurgic silicone, or the first silicone we're going to do with our QRR. So whatever these guys do, I know I'm always going to be cheapest because I make my own raw product. I just feed it to myself at cost, and then I turn it into the nano powders at a high price. That's when we're going to scale up at big price. But right now, I just use regular silicone converted nano powders, show how good it is. And if somebody wants something specific to what the Pure Vap QRR is, we know how to do it. We're in a good position to demonstrate everything else. And that's what's going to become fun. 2020 for me was sort of the year where I had to manage expectation in the hope of getting the machine started in December.
And you landed that perfectly, right, Bernard? Is it fair to say that you had to manage expectations, but you landed exactly where you want to be?
Yes, but it wasn't an easy
And that's
year.
big. That's big.
It wasn't an easy year to do it. In the sense that, there's a lot of things outside of my control that were there. But that's fundamentally here. 2020 for me, like if I look back at the history of HPQ in a certain mine, for me, 2020 was a bit like 2015. Okay. As we started to do the work, we started to become public more in the story in the end of 2015. We started to produce material. We were supposed to start in January, and we started in March. And in 2016, everything went totally crazy. That's what it was. Now, all the R&D is behind us. We're starting to produce the material, and I know that's when the fun for me really starts. When we start to have product, I can't wait to show pictures of the material, to start showing out there, have a catalog of material that we can present to eventual client. But I understand how the cycle is going to work. We're going to send material to them. They're going to test them. They're not going to give me the results of what they're doing, because you have to understand battery space is two things. Okay. One of them is a chemical business. Okay. And the other one's a material business.
Right.
What I'm seeing, and everybody sees that. I remember listening to Guy Bourassa of Namaska Lithium. So we're not a mine, we're a chemical company. I just heard, I haven't been able to get first hand on it, but there's another graphite place that says, no, we're a chemical company. Batteries is chemical and material. HPQ has decided to focus squarely on just the material. We let all the other guys worry about the chemical part. And the advantage of that is that I'll have multiple clients for my product. And, somebody's going to figure out best recipe to use my material is going to be working. That's really where we want to be positioned. Second of all, I know there's tons of application for the type of silicone we're going to be doing, which are only going to become known as somebody starts putting them out there and starting offering material. Trust me, I'm getting like R&D requests left, right, and center about this material. Haven't been taking them too seriously, because until I'm in a position to start sending material, that wasn't what was interesting me. So the bottom line is 2021, okay, we have a capacity to produce sample. By the middle of the year, we'll have a capacity to demonstrate that we can scale this up, which is the key to what we're doing. Doing the stuff is great, okay? If you can't scale it up, you're going nowhere, all right? We know, based on our track record, we're working with Power, that we can scale it up. But there's a difference between we saying it, which is, it's my job, I'm a salesman, to talk it up, and us doing it. Now, we said we were going to start the machine in December.
And you would need the scale today anyways, because the first thing potential customers want to get is samples, regardless.
Yeah.
Even if you could scale right now, you can do 100 tons a week, it wouldn't matter, because people would say, hey, Bernard, just send me this much, send me a small amount.
It would have been the waste of money to do that, and that's how the way we're doing it. Second of all, when we designed this business strategy with Parallel, we had that discussion, okay? And the engineering part and everybody else said, we got to build a brand new machine from the get-go. I tell them no, because the timeline would have been longer, A, and B, I want to have samples as quickly as possible. And C, from experience, okay, I know the first design is not the same one as the end design. That's just the way it is.
Always, of course.
Always. So by having the first design, the first machine operational, we will find out things that work better than we anticipated, things that doesn't work well. And it's at the size where it's easy for them to figure out the issues, do them, improve the model, the computer model, and everything else. So that's where we are. That's where it's going. It's going very, very well. We're very happy with the results.
Now you're the chief excitement officer. Now you might actually keep your job. If I use my flux capacitor, go into the future, I can hear investors right now who are watching this on demand saying, George, ask Bernard about when the sample is going to go out to the major auto manufacturer who placed their first order. So I'm going to ask you, when do you think the sample to fill the first the pre-order, the first order, when ballpark, when do you think that might be going out?
It can anytime next week, the week after, we got to communicate. Or are they
Wow.
open? Are they open to receive? It's not complicated. It's not that much quantity. There is, there's a bit of work we have to do on our side, which is basically, confirming the size and everything else. And then, I'll communicate with them and says, okay, is this okay with you guys? Do you want something else? We, tweak it, picture, and then we send it. They're not asking, it's part of the process of doing it. I anticipate to get multiple repeat orders, but with different specification.
From the same
Yeah,
unnamed client?
yeah, that's what the discussion sort of was lying around. So basically, plus I now I can start taking my Rolodex of the other guys in the batteries industries and says, okay, let's start sending samples.
Well, let me ask you that question.
Mhm.
You had said, I think you've said it a few times this year as we've been speaking, because I'm a big marketing guy, and I would say, so what's the plan for marketing? How are you going to get people to to let them know what you're doing and get samples in the hands? And your answer pretty consistently has been, George, they're going to be calling us.
Yeah, that's what we like one of the things we're working on is we're developing a specific HPQ Nano web page. Okay. Where we're going to put the product, because that's how the way it's going to work. It's going to be people, people just like investors do Google research and find me a lot of some interesting research that they found and other things. People interested in this business will do research. There'll be, comparative studies companies that start to do things. So what we're going to start publishing and having available is sort of like a portfolio of the type of materials we're looking at doing and what they look like. And then that's how we're going to start attracting interest. As we're going to be starting to work with our university partner, who is going to do the chemical part of the work that I've talked about, so we can start talking about the results. Because I have a complete understanding that whatever material I send to any battery manufacturers, I'll never get any feedback more than we want more or less, do this, do that. I'll never really be in a position to discuss more until they make an offer that I can refuse. But that's the way I sort of expect it to go along.
It's in the spirit of Christmas and the shirt that you're wearing. When are you going to tell us the name of the, what's the milestone you have to pass with this global auto manufacturer? And it sounds like other big.
Well, no, you know what? I sort of don't want. I don't want the competitors are not coming to see me, because everybody's in that space. So, I don't want to have my name too attached yet to one until somebody comes in and does something that's really worth it. I'm going to be a difficult bridesmaid or bride or something like that. Something in those type of things. I'm gonna play a bit hard to get. And it's really mostly, you know what? I'm more focused on delivering the material, getting the orders, getting that organized, and starting the marketing over who it is, who it isn't. Okay, there's not too many, massive car manufacturers, so it's one of them. it's one of the 10s. It's like it's simplified. But my goal is to get orders from the 9 others. So you don't want to make it sound like you have a favorite.
What's your level of confidence that you're going to have? Look, you already have an NDA signed with a couple of battery manufacturers. You got an order from a global auto manufacturer, one of the big guys, obviously, because you can't be global any other way. You've been very comfortable the last year and a half, very, very confident, quietly confident, not arrogant in any way, but you just have this real quiet confidence about the world coming to HPQ for its silicon. So what do you look forward to in 2021, if you can kind of paint the picture for the first 6 months before you get to that point when you can scale? What does the activity maybe look like in terms of people wanting samples?
Well, it's going to be sending out samples. this is one reason we have the Gen 1. The Gen 1 is there for two reasons: for test a lot of operational parameters and for us to be able to send samples. Because they were going to require a 50 cycle, 100 cycle tests. Those are 50 to 100 days tests, each of them. Okay. At the same time, I'm going to be much more excited talking about hydrogen because that's much faster. The feedback loop is faster. I send the material, get it back, we get the results, and then we can start talking more about the hydrogen and where that fits in with HPQ, HPQ Nano's business plan. Because I think there is a massive market, there are massive areas to this. So there's going to be the battery side, which I know is going to be a longer. Basically, it's sort of a long lead, and then the hydrogen for me is a shorter lead type of news flow and everything else. This being said, once you start producing, it's not going to be the same delays as this year when we're waiting for the machine to start. I have often described this as almost looking as like paint to dry. That's really what it is. Plus, truth of the matter is that a company like HPQ that's involved in renewable energies, that's about to change, that has a technology that is as disruptive as ours, in a market that's about to explode, in an area where everybody wants an electric car. But the key point, the two things they want in the electric car is one that has a long distance and it's fast to charge. Those are the two key aspects everybody wants. Okay. So those are two aspects that silicone can come into. In the meantime, if you want a greener type of energy that has resembled more what the car was, there is the options of the hydrogen cars also. Hydrogen internal combustion engine, those type of things.
Sure.
The issues with those vehicles is how you supply the hydrogen to the engine. Okay. You go to a hydrogen station, but you fundamentally have a tank of hydrogen. It's sort of like, you remember the Hindenburg sort of blowing up and everything else. So it does create a negative.
What a great image to take up on business.
Not a great image to do.
The Hindenburg blowing up.
That's the concept. But if you have a capacity to have basically nanopowders and water, combine them to generate the hydrogen to get that system moving, then it sort of resolves those two fears. So that's an exciting segment into it.
Man, you're really excited about the hydrogen. I know we at one point we had a full flesh out discussion, but we're here. But
it's because the battery is clear. Like, how can I say, the battery industry understands they need the material. The problem has been cost. So it's like, I'm not reinventing the battery space. It's like, everybody knows battery works. Everybody knows the issue.
You're just giving what they've
I'm just giving it at the price that they do. But by default, by doing this, I sort of opened up the hydrogen sector, which I knew a bit about it, but didn't fully understand it. Now, my advantage is, I have a silicone R&D team that is through the moon with Apollon. So as I get to talk, I start learning more, figuring out more. Okay, these are where the areas are and everything else. And it looks freaking exciting. Like I should be getting in the next few weeks a smaller scale system, but it's a demonstration scale model. But still the type of system when they sold 300 system to the Japanese civil, when there's emergency system, civil.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. So basically, so people can have this capacity it's a very small system to charge.
Come on.
Cell phone and everything else. So I'll have a demonstration system. I have it here to start showing it to people. There's the bigger model done for the militaries, and then the other ideas that we've been brainstorming with the guys at Apollon. And in addition to this, we're going to be brainstorming where all the special market, where our nano silicone powders will have a distinct advantage. And there's multiple of those markets. Could be the medical, could be all those type of field, because it's you can take a lot of the capacities of silicone and just use them. So
devil's advocate, could you get sucked into potentially chasing too many markets? Because you got so many available to you?
Since when's it? Well, no, my choice factor is going to be very simple. Which one are the most profitable for me? And that's it. I'm only focused on basically, high value markets. I'm not going to chase every one of the markets, but if it's a high value,
batteries and hydrogen can be too big.
Battery hydrogen are two, because they're going to be big volume eventually, okay, where your cost advantage is going to be the winner. Okay, so it's fundamentally the same thing in hydrogen. It's sort of known how to do it. The problem has always been the same thing. You know, it's like if you need 1 kilogram of nanosilicon to make 1.4 cubic meters of hydrogen, but it costs you $23,000 that 1 kilogram. You understand you're not very competitive. You know, so, but you know, if we're bringing down the same price range of what we're looking at doing for graphite, then it's going to be much more interesting. And that's
And it doesn't sound like as a prudent and as efficient as you are and brave process oriented as you are, which is why you're not quite the chief excitement officer. It also sounds like you're not very worried either. So you're in this perfect middle ground where you don't get too high and excited, but you don't get worried. It sounds like you're not worried at all either. It sounds like this
well,
almost fait accompli that you'll be able to deliver most of these things. You just got to tweak, figure out where exactly you want to flow to. But yeah, is it fair to say your confidence level is that high?
yes, because it's a question of de-risking the project. All right. What have we done to de-risk the project in the philosophical thinking? Okay, HPQ was originally a resource company, still is a resource company per definition. All right, but we understood, we figured out that in industrial mineral, okay, it's not the raw material that's the key. It's always the end product buyers and everything else that control what goes on. In the case of silicone, we figure out how you make that material. That is really the key to differentiate us. If I try to make silicone the traditional ways, I can never compete against the big boys. One,
You don't have the money.
well, it's A, you don't have the money, but B, the process is rigged for a very simplistic reason. All traditional carbothermic process require one type of carbon, okay? And one of the major controls one of the two sources in the world. We've eliminated that issue in the first part of the process. But as we understood this, has moved on and on and on. And as I'm trying to educate people, if you're a resource company that has a mine, you're sort of like dependent because you end up doing a PEA on the value of that mine, and that value is dependent on a certain throughput. Then you're stuck with the problem. What do I do with that throughput? How do I deal with that throughput issue? Where's my end market? Okay. Well, in reality, in industrial minerals, you got to figure out, you got to work at the end market, then worry about the other end. Especially in the case of quartz. Quartz is what, 5 cents a kilogram raw material? Look, it's not really the kill. It's actually carbon is the most expensive, and energy is the second one. We've resolved carbon, we've resolved energy. We're in Quebec, and quartz we can take lower quality than anybody else. So it's not really a big issue. So that's been my thinking since the beginning. So I follow a bit what Peter says. It's better to have multiple legs to your stool. Okay, so you always have more balance. So you remove the risk. Okay.
Well, that's been the secret to pyrogenesis.
When we started HPQ, okay, we were a one-story company, solar purity. That was it. Eventually, as we started to learn more and more of our process, we realized that our process just to make the silicone was cheaper than everybody else. Then from then on, we moved on and extended. But originally, that was the idea. And from that experience came out the understanding is that, okay, the key point is in the mind, the key point is in the output, the key point is having a product and a process that you control that allows you to go after a specific niche market that have very high valuation. I think I've used that example many times.
Sure.
But, 2,000 tons of silicone metal for Ferro Atlantica or Ferro Globe, that's their new name now, will not change the needle on their quarterly financial, on their annual financial. Okay. For HPQ, it'll be a company builder. Okay. And if you have multiple of those 2,500 ton process, then you have multiple company builders, every one of them are independent. So that's really been our thinking, and our relationship with Pyro allows us in the silicone space, in the quartz to silicone space, to sort of market their technologies and push it in that regard. So, we sort of use their R&D and everything else. And this has allowed us to have a very small overhead. I look at the overhead of other companies because you have a big mine project, you have the environmental issues, you have to deal with so many big issues okay, that you can't concentrate on the few. What are the two ones I'm concentrating on? Marketing of the product, okay, and managing the R&D being done by Pyro. Financing, we've done it very well. We're in a good financial position.
Yep, that's for
So
sure.
we're okay for the next 24 months to be financing our site, and probably even longer than that.
That's great to
So
hear.
we can fully focus on this, and I can add now one step more, which is more marketing for the other side of the business, which is the publicly traded company. Okay, I've been very blessed this year that I didn't really have to do that much of an effort to get my public marketing done. But I understand as we move forward, I need more. We have the material, we have the goods, we know where we're going. Markets are there. Markets are, the what made companies like Uber, Netflix, Amazon at the beginning take off was that the addressable market was so big that investors understood how it's going to go. Right. Well, the addressable market for what we're attacking are as big, if not bigger than that. We're talking about, energy. We're talking about the energy sector.
It is. It's bigger.
It's
It's just
bigger.
bigger.
So
Not everyone
we
has
have-
to use
we have a
Netflix, but everyone needs energy at the end of the day, right?
exactly. We have a disruptive technology that's going to allow at least two segment of clean energy to come into play. So I think I got something interesting to go market. But the beauty of this is I'm not coming here and says, George, I'm your new client. Ugly Shirt Company. We just started to design these things. But in 5 years, I can tell you that I can really make good ugly shirt. Thing is, we've been doing this for 5 years.
Yeah. You're way ahead of everybody.
I'm sort of laughing because I am seeing other quartz to high product companies starting to appear on the market space, and says, oh, they're repeating my 5-year-old business plan. Okay. Let them try to catch up. It's like it's sort of catch me if you can type of things, but it's you understand what I'm saying. So
yep.
you need to be on the roof, exciting, saying no. I just need to continue to deliver, or basically making sure Pyro delivers.
And who are any of us at the end of the day to argue with you and Pyro and even Apollon at the end of the day? You guys have guided the company. That's why. What does everybody say? In Bernard, we trust. In Peter, we trust. You've got the trust of everyone. I know we joke around. We like to have fun doing this.
Look at the 5-year chart, okay, of the stock. Okay, that's what brings me, what takes me down. Okay, I'm executing the same business plan, but for 4 years I was flatlining. Okay, for 4 years I looked like a zombie guy. So that's why I don't get my head to it, because I always knew we would get here. Okay, I understand that. So it's because we have a solid business plan, we have a solid business partnership, and we have a real story to go develop. That's the key. So in Bernard, we trust. No, but we trust in the concept of the company, where it's going, where it's advancing, the partnership, the strength that we've created. And by default, that's some things I've sort of brought to the company, and I will continue to bring that along. So this is just going to be a side business.
Keep wearing it though, because I like. We kind of started off more reserved, but you really put the pedal to the metal in this last 10 minutes. I think everyone at home can listen to that, hear that, and even see the confidence, see the energy. So, man, I cannot wait personally to watch and see what the company does in all of 2021, but especially in the next 6 months. I can't wait, and congratulations and thank you on behalf of all shareholders as to what you've done to this point to get us here. Great leadership, good stewardship, and now we're here just to watch the last act. And I'm getting my popcorn ready.
Multiple next act. Trust me, we always have more rabbit to pull out.
There he is, the CXO, the Chief Excitement Officer. You've been coming up more and more. Thanks, Bernard. I'm not sure if I should be saying Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, because I don't know if I'm going to have you. I get a feeling you might be coming back on before all that.
Once or twice, it doesn't matter anything. It's just it's like it's. We're getting close now. What are we today? With the 18th, so Christmas is next week. So I don't know. I might pull a rabbit before.
I love it. I love it. You're so coy. You're so confident. But thanks, Bernard. Really appreciate this. This has been great. And I'm sure for everyone watching and listening home, it's been great. So, Merry Christmas. Happy New Year to you. But in the event that we have you back on again before all that, we'll just wish you a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year again.
I have more than one ugly Christmas shirt. Trust me.
Oh, okay. Now we got to have you back on. So, do what you got to do to earn a spot back on, beyond the press release. Thanks, Bernard.
You're welcome.
For everyone at home, look, you've been watching, or if you listen by podcast, to Bernard Tourillon, CEO of HPQ Silicon, that trades on the venture under HPQ. For those of you who've been around for a while, you know the story, and this was probably a fantastic interview because Bernard's confidence, even a little excitement that started to come out, is pointing to you as to where the company's going to be in the next couple of years. And short term, next 6 months, next couple of years, it obviously looks like a great outlook for the company. For those of you new to the story, get to the HPQ Silicon Hub on Agoracom. Just get to Agoracom, punch in the name or stock symbol. The profile section will help guide. We know this is complicated stuff, but it's worth it. Go through that. And then, of course, hop over to the HPQ Silicon site, which you can do from Agoracom as well. And make sure you do your due diligence, because this has been HPQ has been a great Christmas present for everybody in the tree this year. And we hope it's going to be an even better one for all the new folks that are just coming in recently next year. Thanks for joining us. To everyone at home, if we don't speak to you, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Talk to you next time.